Hello there, good evening, welcome back to Celtic World Order. As always, I'm Steve O'Matt, and it's my absolute pleasure to be joined again by the man in the middle of the sea, my brother, my bearded brother, my right-hand man is of course Paddy Boy. Paddy, good evening, how you doing mate after a good victory nonetheless?
Yeah, that's it mate, a wee 3-0 win. I did say 4, if Lewis Palmer could hit the target it would have been, but yeah, quite happy with the result, back to the top. Just shows we can perform under the pressure of being second in the league for all of what, not even 24 hours.
Yeah, well, that's it, mate. As we said the other day there, Aberdeen threw down the gauntlet. They laid out the challenge. They showed that they are here, at least for the time being, a fly in the ointment, causing issues, a late show, putting themselves top of the pile, of course, and just adding a wee bit more flavour, a wee bit more edge to the game. And of course, we had our other supposed closest rivals playing as well mid-afternoon. So having that as well, playing against each other, a few games overlapping, it felt very much like a Super Sunday. There was a lot at stake. It was quite exciting nonetheless. And of course, there's plenty to talk about, and we'll get round to that. Some VAR incidents, some goals, a lot of changes in the side, and at the end of the day, 3 points. And as you rightly say, Celtic slap bang right at the top of the pile again, and we further extend that goal difference advantage over Aberdeen. So we're here to cut through that and talk about everything that happened. But before we do, just want to say to everyone, as usual, it's a warm welcome back to the channel. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you very much. If you're new, again, thank you for joining us. Just make sure you hit the subscribe, you hit the bell icon, you'll get notified. If you like it, give it a thumbs up. And you can share it as well. Perfectly optional, of course, but it helps us get more eyeballs in and grow the community. We're also on X at CWPod1888, and you can get us on Spotify. Check us out there, audio only. All these are uploaded, so there's no excuse to not catch up with Celtic World Order, no matter where you are, no matter what time of day. So that's the housekeeping done, Paddy. Let's get down to business, as we say. We spoke here the other night. We said about what we were thinking was going to happen. Was it going to be a time for rotation where we're going to see a wee bit of things? And, well, we get quite a fair bit of it, didn't we? Because this is actually how we lined up. And, you know, look at that midfield 3. Completely different to anything that we've seen at all this season. Of course, we later found out that Captain Cal was rested, precautionary, of course. He had a bit of an adductor issue and obviously not wanting to take any risks with him whatsoever. We sat and we spoke about Arne Engels, and we says after some of the maybe unfair criticism that some quarters of the fan base have been giving him, would the manager double down? Would he throw him straight back in? We actually went the complete opposite way, didn't he? He rested him, he gave him some breathing space, he brought him on later on. But in terms of the lineup when it came out, what were you thinking? Because I was quite surprised, to be quite fair.
Yeah, exactly the same, mate. Very, very surprised, especially with the midfield. We had obviously spoke last night in preview that you'd said about Luke McGowan deserving a start, and you thought the game was suited to him. Do you know what? It was, absolutely. It was nice to see him get the start in there. I was very surprised to see Engels and Callum out as well. Obviously, you touched on Callum having a slight injury there and being rested just to get that back up to scratch. But yeah, I fully expected Engels to be in there. I was very surprised to see Hatate and Bernardo put in. And obviously up front kind of spoke for itself, didn't it? It was nice to see Keogh go back in there. We touched on that. Yeah, everything else was pretty standard. Carter Vickers on the bench as well, which was a
Jamesy Forrest, one of your favourites starting, mate.
Jamesy in there as well, yeah, of course. Joe must have been buzzing. My brother-in-law Joe absolutely adores Jamesy.
Tell me about it.
He's his icon. And we put this into the group chat, and Joe was buzzing to see Jamesy starting. And do you know what? Yeah, it's nice to see these guys getting a run out as well. They need it, and it was a perfect game to do that.
Well, it was squad rotation at its fullest. Obviously, we were always going to have that sort of question mark hanging, weren't we? After giving so much, running so much out of the tank against Atalanta, and a fantastic result there, you'd obviously think to yourself, God, right, Motherwell, we know what we're getting there. They're very well organised. Stuart Kettlewell, you know what you're getting from them. They're a very organised, very well-drilled team. Quite aggressive, as we'll get on to at some point there as well, of course. But they don't carry too much threat, but it was going to have to be a very workman type, performance, and it rightly was against a stuffy team. So it was good though to see that the squad rotation was in full swing. I had a wee concerns if it says we were going to get that hangover. Maybe in the earlier stages of the game, I thought that it wasn't exactly free flowing. You could see that again, similarly to when we made the changes against Falkirk and the likes. You could see that it was guys that weren't particularly used to playing together, particularly in that midfield trio. Because I felt that it was a wee bit sort of disjointed. It kind of reminded me a wee bit of the performance in Atalanta, where keeping hold of the ball and making even the simplest of passes was quite frustrating at times. There was a lot of loose balls getting overhit, getting out the park, quick turnovers of possession. And, the early stages for me, it was actually a bit nip and tuck because it was Motherwell who looked as if they were the most likely to score early on.
Yeah, it did. I thought we just looked lethargic. We were second to every ball. I think we lost pretty much every 50-50 in the first half an hour. Middle of the park, I don't think the pass completion rate could have been above 50%. Rio had so many poor passes in there, as did Bernardo. It was just, a poor start for me. And I'm starting to think this hangover's a real thing here. I'm going, what's going on? We're going to concede something here and then the heads will go down, or we're going to need to make the big changes and bring on Idah to do what he done before. And I was thinking all sorts, and I'm sitting watching it with a few Rangers fans as well, so they're obviously trying to stir the pot as they do.
Well, the thing is, we started off, he says, actually in terms of looking lively, if you want to look at that opening sort of couple of minutes, 3-4 minutes into the game, we look sort of bright and breezy. Obviously, Forrest, as we say, every time he comes into the team, he looks as if he's right up for it. I don't know what it is. He looks very lean at the moment. He looks very lean. He looks very athletic. He's got good running. He looks as if he's picked up. He looks as if he's getting younger, dare I say it, than he had before. A bright start for him, and obviously the first sort of flashy, what we would have expected the norm to be, we fly one across the box. But then, as you say, in the midfield, I just felt, I don't know, we had Bernardo, he was taking up that sort of sitting role. He was taking in the Cal Mack role, if you want, that number 6, even though, as we well know, Cal McGregor isn't a natural number 6, but he was taking up that mantle in the middle of the park with a slightly more advanced sort of energy and bustle with both Hatate and McCowan. But as she says, they just couldn't get their flow going. The passes, even the simple ones side to side, were always misplaced. We were scrappy, and that's how we end up getting ourselves in a wee bit of trouble. We get under the cloche. The ball comes back early on, and just says Motherwell will get the first decent sight of goal. And let's talk about Kasper Schmeichel. He's been very, very assured. I don't have an issue with the brother. He's a great player, and his ball distribution is good. However, he makes an absolute horrendous decision in my eyes here, where he gets the ball pinged into him, and for whatever reason, rather than, you see Trusty pulling himself out wide to the right-hand side, that's the sensible ball. But he rifles in this sort of really quick, sharp ball at Bernardo, who's run towards it. And as we said, that wee bit of rust, that sort of an inability to put our foot on the ball and really calm down, he kind of stumbles over it forward. We lose out Miller, who we identified, we spoke about him. He rattles one right off the post, and to be fair, it's a problem with our own design there, and very, very lucky to get away with that, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. When the balls get pinged into Bernardo, he's not really, I don't know, it's as if he's not expecting it. He's running in there to draw a player so the ball can get played to Trusty, I think. And when the ball gets fired at him, you see he's kind of unsure. His feet seemed all over the place. What a shot by young Lennon Miller. Absolute cracker. Very, very lucky to be nothing each after that. It was a cracking shot.
That's the thing, is the danger's always there. As we had a look around the Motherwell team, as we say, they've got their goal scoring is very low. An odd goal here and there, dabbled across the park. Miller's obviously the standout.
Miller's he's got 4 in the league, isn't he?
Yeah, and 4 all over. So he's the sort of main influence in terms of it. Obviously, he'd be taking penalties and the likes as well. Take that as you find it, but very simple. The strikers aren't really doing it, and he was a driving force for Celtic to really shut out Motherwell and have them feeding off scraps. It was quite simple. Just take care of him, and that was it. But he shows his class there. Obviously, as we says, P. McLaughlin's saying, would we go from Miller in January? Well, as we said, we spoke about it last night, and personally speaking, I can understand and I see the quality in him. Is he a guy that if it was an alternative universe, would I want to have him at Celtic? Absolutely. The reason I say that is we do have riches in the midfield area. Now, a lot of people have says perhaps they think Hatate might be one who could move on and potential in January. Well, see, if you were going to get rid of Hatate, then the answer would be yes for me. However, again, people say, whoa, Steve, is an upgrade on Hatate? That's subjective. My point is we have an absolute barrel load of midfielders. I don't see space for them at this moment in time with what we have. But if one were to move on, and the most likely one, of course, would be Hatate, then the answer would be yes. But I wouldn't want him to come to Celtic and, as we said, Paddy, be another Scott Allen, another Riordan, another young, promising Scottish talent who could and probably will go on to better things, bench warming at Celtic. I just wouldn't want it for the young guy's career first and foremost. Being completely selfless about it.
Yeah, he's playing well. He's doing really well for Motherwell, and we've touched on it before. We were linked with him in the summer, as were the club across the city as well. They were linked with him.
There was the issue of money there, of course.
Yeah, he would be a good signing, of course he would. However, I don't think he breaks into that squad. I don't think he's better than anybody that we have in that position at the minute, and that includes Hatate and Bernardo and McCowan. I think they're better off in there. Obviously, if we do sell, like you said, if we get rid of Hatate in January, which would obviously break my heart, then yes, you could bring him in. I think he'd be a decent enough replacement. But I don't see him being that. He's not Celtic quality for me at the minute. He's a good enough player, but he's not breaking into our squad. He's not as good as what we've got.
Bold statement, Paddy. Bold statement. Even sub 420 for joining us so late on. Thank you very much. But no, he's a touch of class, and I genuinely think, as has been said there in the comments, we look at the Scottish talents. Obviously, we took McCowan. Now, no disrespect to the guy, I think he's a fantastic player. I was sitting on here last night saying I want him to get a start. I'm glad he did. It paid dividends. We'll go on to it. But we got McCowan because he was £1 million. Let's be honest. See, if you go for young Miller, they're probably going to be wanting 5 million thereabouts minimum starting point. And for some reason, we are worried and we're scared and we're a bit feared of doing that. Whereas, as we said in the comments there, when you have a look at the Italian teams, they seem to be going through this sort of renaissance, if you will, where they are looking at talent from the UK. They're bringing guys over, and look at some of the guys that they've brought over from teams in the Premier League for relatively nominal fees, and they have kicked on something else. I mean, look at young Ferguson. He's a guy that, again, back in the time when he was up for it, forget his background, forget his name, probably someone that you could argue the Toss Celtic should have been looking at for various reasons. People would have pooed all over that. But he is now instrumental, and he will move on to bigger things. And I think if he didn't get injured and made his way in the Scotland squad for the major tournament, he probably would have moved on. So I think maybe we should be looking at these sort of teams. And there it goes as well. Look at the successes we've had over the years. Hartley, Robson, even people don't like it. Even guys like Caldwell and the likes. We've always had a way of getting sort of the best of the rest of Scotland splattered about our team, and it works well. So I think Miller, if the cards come out that way and it looks as if it's a possibility, we maybe move people on, then yes, I would, and I think he would be a fantastic addition. But back to the game, because he smacks the post and then immediately after it, he almost does it again, mate, because he wins a free kick, and again, he shows the quality. He just weaves through 2 or 3 of our guys. Why? Because we lose the ball again. We can't keep our foot on the ball. We're scrappy. And he smacks one off the bar. Yeah. 2 warning shots inside literally 60 seconds for this guy. Yeah. Are you starting to, were you worrying there? Were you edging the couch, and some of the blue noses that you had the displeasure of watching the game we were laying on thick? Yeah,
they were properly going for it. I was just kind of sliding down in the seat. Here we go. Take a wee deep breath, and I just think Casper looked as if he was leaving it. I thought he was a bit slow to react to the free kick, to be honest. To be fair, if it's going in, it's right in the postage stamp, isn't it? There's not really anything you're going to be able to do about it. It was a cracking free kick, and he's done well to get there. I think that was the warming shots, like you said. That was the wake-up call that we needed. What's this?
I think you're getting a bit of, try to say, your Porkies. Well, I think out on old Riggo, isn't it? They've got the old Sky Sports, so it's even the Blue Noses are forced to watch the Celtic because that's what's on.
That's it. There's only one game gets on in the rec room, and that was ours, so they had to sit there and watch it. But yeah, I was getting a bit of stick off of them up until obviously we scored, and then I could give it back.
Nah, I mean, see at that point, the biggest problem for me, the game so far, up to the early stages, until we obviously get the goal, it comes around quick enough thereafter, but it was just this real sort of, the energy, you can always tell, for me, whenever we make, not necessarily wholesale changes, but we mix things up and there's not a familiar sort of formula of the guys playing together, you think yourselves through the middle, and it's usually quite sharp, isn't it? It's, slick 1-2 touches, we're moving it, we're pushing it. I always feel that when we make these sort of changes and it seems unfamiliar, I don't know why, because they all train, they all work the same system, they all do the same drills, but it's as if the processing time for the players, there's a delay in it, where they get their foot in the ball and it's almost like they look around and then they go. It's like a delayed reaction. And again, the thing that I've found about Motherwell, obviously we break them down in the end, but I don't know if you noticed their movement. They weren't necessarily doing what a lot of teams will try against us, which is that hurried press where as soon as they get the ball, the guy runs out. It was almost like a strange sort of zonal defending en masse where you looked, they were moving in fours, they were moving a blocks of four and sort of just closing the space. They were essentially just marking off to one man and moving as we moved as well. And they were getting some relatively good success in uneasing our midfield throughout the course of that. So as I say, looking at getting ourselves embedded in the game, I was a wee bit sort of peed off. I thought that McCown out the three midfielders was outstanding. I thought he was the guy that was trying to do the Cal McGregor bit, where he was constantly looking for the ball. Bernardo's a silky operator, but he didn't quite show it. And in terms of Hatate, for me, I don't want to put in the party with one here, but my reservations, my doubts about his recent form continue after that, Paddy.
Yeah, mine's as well. He didn't cover himself in glory, like I said. There was a few misplaced passes. McCown as well, obviously had a few shots outside the edge of the box, and a couple of them looked a bit wayward. There was a few closer to the corner flag than what they were to the back of the net. But he stuck with it, and I'm glad he did, because obviously he eventually gets his opening goal, doesn't he?
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. He did keep on trying and trying. He went for the shots, and I was getting the messages were pinging into my group chats. Fed up with it, shot, blah blah blah. But I would rather that, because the normal width that we would normally have, it just wasn't there. Obviously we still had Idah as a normal guy, and surprisingly, the bright start of Forrest, it kind of whittled away. It fell off very quickly for me. Everything was sort of going through the centre of the pitch. Anytime we played it out wide, we were just pinging it back into the centre again. Probably because, as far as I could see, it was only really McCown that was wanting to look for the ball and trying to do anything for an attack-minded stance. So he was just taking shots. But I don't mind that. I don't mind taking shots on site, because, if you don't buy a ticket, you've no chance of winning, as they say. But the game was very much in the balance, because even after that, there was still a couple of Motherwell chances. The boy Sparrow had the shot as well. Yeah. And then obviously we had the one with Idah as well, where he flicks it on and it just gets saved and put round the post. But it just says McCown's persistence pays off, picks up the ball. It's a nice wee sort of weave through, not too dissimilar to actually the Lennon Miller that we spoke about earlier on, where he sort of bypasses two guys, but he gets the low shot off and it's past the goalkeeper. 1-0 up. His persistence pays off. It's a great strike, and particularly came at a good time. 27 minutes thereabouts into the game, as I say, particularly when it was just a bit slack up to that point. It was a toss of a coin for me up to that stage. So it was good to get the goal, maybe knock a bit of the stuffing out of Motherwell, I thought.
Yeah, that's it. Listen, there's never a bad time to score a goal. So when he gets it there, I think it calmed us down a little bit. We started to see the midfield taking our time a little bit more and passing the ball a bit more direct. So, yeah, like you said, it basically opened the game up a little bit, didn't it? It gave us that opportunity to press forward a wee bit more. I think it gave him a lot of confidence as well, because you seen straight after it, he moved up a little bit further. He wasn't sitting back as much as what he was previous. He ended up moving up, and he was kind of on par with Kyogo at some points. He was kind of playing up there alongside him for near enough the end of the first half. I just thought it was quite good because it gives another option to play the ball into towards him.
Yeah, no, and I agree with some of the comments that are coming in here. Obviously, I can see what Kaiser's saying. Bernardo, he gets put in that hole to play the Cal McGregor role. It isn't best suited to him, obviously. That's the toss you've got there, because McCowan, he's got a wee bit more grit, he's got a bit more determination, but he is, as we saw with Dundee last season as well, he is better suited when he's got that freedom to roam, when he's able to push forward, be creative, and obviously get the shots off and supply the goals. Hatate, again, he's been working on that. He's certainly improved in terms of his overall sort of work rate there, but he's still not going to be a number 6. We just don't really have someone, for my taking, that is that perfect for that position. Engels, definitely not, just by default, because he's such a high caliber player. Cal McGregor's able to do it because he's got the assistance there around it. I would still like, if we were ever going to be looking at another midfielder, I know, because we've just had the conversation about Lennon Miller, I would like someone who is a pure 100% number 6. I think it would be really, really interesting to see if we did have that, because it would then obviously free up Cal McGregor. It'd give you another option on top of Engels, on top of Bernardo, on top of McCowan, obviously Hatate, but from a more creative stance. And I don't know if that's maybe something that we will look at doing at some stage. I don't know if you think that's something that Celtic particularly need.
Yeah, listen, an old style player like you touched on, a number 6, somebody like Peter Grant, to sit in there and do the holding role. I think it would be ideal. Did we not really get rid of somebody like McCarthy? Would he that role?
Well, we get rid of Awata as well, and by all accounts that was supposedly something that he had, so a bit of a strange one there, but I really don't know in terms of that position what Brendan is particularly looking for. We seem to play with guys who are more skillful and more attack minded than just the basics of breaking up play, but I do think that there is definitely somewhere for that, and I think that that's something that I would really, really like to see into our squad at some point. Who it is and where they come from, I don't necessarily know, but I do think that it's something that we need, because we're kind of putting, round pegs into square holes, I feel. When we move the pieces about, no one truly fits that position, and it's always a wee bit of an adaptation. And not that it's, we get away with it. We'll always get away with it by large in the domestic tournaments in the league. In Europe, it could be a different kettle of fish altogether. Of course, we every resolute performance against Atalanta, but again, you could argue about with Dortmund, and then you could argue about what we saw last season in Europe. So I still think that that's a position, Paddy, that we should be looking at.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And like they said there, Iwata's one of the guys that could probably have jumped into that hole and filled it. He seems to be firing on all cylinders down there as well now. Yeah, listen, at the end of the day for me, and what the guys are saying in the chat there as well, the result is the be all and end all. And
absolutely, a win is still a win.
It's still a win. You're playing players out of position. For me, Bernardo wasn't comfortable in that role, but he done great. He done the job. He didn't make any. Well, he made the mistakes, but he never got punished on them. Mm-hmm. And like you said, you're not going to get away with that in Europe. But that's why we're resting these players now. We're keeping.
Well, but that's it. The mistakes, as Plunge was saying there, as we Pride mentioned that just earlier, we get away with it. It was a fine margin, though. It's the width of the post that you get away with that one there. Yeah. We saw how these mistakes can manifest, obviously, with what happened against Aberdeen. So we're perhaps lucky that we're playing against Motherwell, who really have one superstar player, and it's quite as simple as that. But anyways, the game kicks on. We'll get the goal. We'll look as if, I'm thinking to myself, right, okay, here we go. We're going to kick on. As a lot of people are saying, Kyogo, for me, wasn't quite in the game. But I think that's because we weren't playing with that traditional width that we're used to. As I say, we kept on knocking the ball out wide. However, it was coming in quite narrow. We were then bringing it in. And I don't know if that was just by design, that we constantly had McCowan as the outlet looking for the ball. They think, all right, I'll just pass it back into him. But everything was quite narrow. And they obviously got a couple of chances. Still in there, there's a couple of warning shots as well. I think it's the boy Zodrowski. He gets a shot blocked. But then, of course, we think that we have got a second goal, but it cuts off by VAR. And we'll get into that, Paddy. I just want to know what your thoughts are on it. Obviously, when it goes in, you think to yourself when you just see it in real time, here we go, classic. I love it. It's a classic Dyson goal. It just knocks off him into the net. They then pull it back to VAR. It does hit his hand as you get down, but for my taking it, if you don't give the goal, you've got to give a penalty, have you not?
Yeah, in my opinion, was penalty straight away. Obviously I was hoping for the goal, and then when it showed you and I said, right, it's hit his hand, so then they take it back to the phase of play is what they'll say, and we'll probably find out when Willie Collum does his VAR review that's one that they got wrong, and that they're going to tell them that was wrong, you need to change that, we'll do that different the next time, blah 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 blah. Yeah, again, birthday card pish. You don't want to hear that now. You want to know then and there why that wasn't given, because for me it was a stone waller. I mean, he's been brought down. The guy's not made contact with the ball. He's made contact with Dyson, and Dyson failed and hit the ball.
So, Paddy, can we go back to that? Because when they looked at it at the studio, and they done it at the end, obviously we had Monster Munch sitting saying nothing, no committing.
James McFadden, obviously a Motherwell player.
Well, aye, but we also happen to know that he's a man of a Celtic mind, so, you know, he's torn between his allegiances there, but he doesn't think it is, and Neil Lennon, as we are on a page, thinks it is. Now, the one thing for me that never gets mentioned here is when you see the argument for McFadden is that Maeda comes in, he's blindsided, and he runs into the path. He runs into the path of O'Donnell, who's coming across to fetch the ball, right? I personally don't see that. I see Maeda getting there first. But what nobody mentioned was, I think it's his right arm. To me, it almost looks as if he kind of clubs him to the back of the neck, stroke top of the sort of shoulder blades. There's a definite hand that makes contact with the back of his sort of upper neck area, and then he goes down. So as far as I'm concerned, he's bundled him over into the ball, and as he's falling, it does hit off his hand and it goes into the net. Of course, you can't give it. Regardless, you cannot give it. Proximity and everything else, as we've seen in the VAR review, doesn't come into account here. It doesn't matter because he's essentially knocked it in with his hand. It's touched no other part of his body other than his hand that goes into the net. You simply cannot give it. But they don't mention that. And for me, it's a foul, mate. Yeah. I think he gets pushed down. As we say, is this one that we're going to get a big apology for further down the line?
Listen, I think the VAR thing will come out and tell us that it was wrong. You look at that anywhere else on the park, it's a free kick. 100%, there's no question of it. For me, he's brought down, and that's that. It's simple. It was a no-brainer.
Mm-hmm. And that's it. As it says, why does it hit his hand? Because he gets bundled down and he gets pushed straight into the ball. He's going nowhere else, and I think it's an absolute shocker. And when you see the reaction for the bench, when you see the reaction for the players, nobody can quite believe what's going on there. And I think it makes a farce of it. We'll get the same nonsense as well, that with the limited angles, it's inconclusive. But again, this comes back to, and we're treading up old ground here, but this comes back to the sort of, dare I say it, cheapo version of art that we've got. Yes. You know, if you go down south, you've got multiple cameras. I believe that the absolute bare minimum that we've got to have is, I think it's 6 cameras. So if you think about that, that's one at each corner flag and one dead centre, either side. That's the bare minimum that we've got. And obviously that can vary. You can get some more cameras depending on the stadium and the sort of costings and the likes have you. But if you're going to have something, you need to have all the angles. And then again, this comes back to, I'm even counting the one that we didn't get against Aberdeen, where it was Duke, where I still think, as I said at the time, I think it hits his upper thigh, but you will never know because the camera for behind the goal is too blurry, it's too far away, you can't see through the net, and the one otherwise, it doesn't show the other angle of his body. So again, we are hamstrung by having this cheap version of VAR, are we not?
Yeah, no, that's it. You look at the Premier League and stuff, and decisions are getting made rapidly. Not in tonight's games, obviously. There was a few tonight's games that kind of dragged on a little bit. There's a few dodgy decisions down there as well. But yeah, for me, we started off this season saying that VAR looked good. They were making the right decisions. There was a few ones that we had seen that were controversial last year that they had just basically thrown out, and there seemed to be a lot of consistency coming. So I was quite confident that it was getting a lot better. But you see something like that today, and for me, like I said, there was no question in it. There wasn't, even from the angle that it showed you on the camera. Surely VAR have that. The one that was there, it slowed it down and it showed you it was a penalty. Do you know what I mean?
I brought this point up here, Paddy, because it says, and it's true. It says, McLaughlin's saying he thinks that we should know what's been said, and what I'd say is if we're going to do these VAR review, and I'm a very big fan of the VAR review show. I know that it's further down the line, right, but it maintains that layer of transparency, because at the end of the day, we're hoping that these decisions won't be made incorrectly at the material time. It's always going to be the nature of the beast, unfortunately. You will never get 100% accuracy. I think we just need to get that out of our heads completely. But if you're going to do these VAR review shows, but you're going to hear the audio anyway, what's the difference for just allowing us to hear it at the material time?
Yeah.
And then you can still do your VAR show further down the line, where you can say, well, we heard the audio and this and that. However, this is right because, or this is wrong because. Let us hear it at the time as well. If you're going to do it all in.
Yeah. The Kaiser touches on there. I can see the message at the bottom. What does the VAR review change? Well, it doesn't change anything, but what it does for us is it lets us know that we were right at that time. That's basically it. And that the things they're there, they're learning opportunities, as Willie Collum called them. And for me, I called for it ages ago. I wanted to see referees come out after the game and explain why they made so many decisions. This is as close to that as what we're going to get, is the referees doing, or the VAR review coming in and Willie Collum saying, yeah, they made this decision because they come to this set of agreements and blah, 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 and such said this. And do you know what I mean? That's the closest that we're going to get to having a referee actually come out and holding their hands up and going, oh, well, do you know what? I made a bit of a mistake there.
No, and as I say, the VAR review, come back to just that point before we move on about what does it achieve. Well, as I says when I done the VAR review reaction thing, yeah, I understand that it's after the event. As I says, my suggestions, again, all my so-called wisdom, where is it we could improve it? Whereas instead of it being a monthly show where you bank up a couple of ones, make it midweek. The game's on Saturday, Sunday, make it a Wednesday. Address it near the time. Yes, you might only have one or two decisions to talk about, but so what? Just get it out there at the time when it's fresh in the mind. However, the one thing that I also think that they could do to improve it, and as you say, is we might not get a referee coming out at the end of the match and talking about it, but there needs to be a level of accountability. So if you've got your VAR review type thing and it's such and such a ref made this decision, Willie Collum will sit there and give us all the explanation, and then, and here's a video of, Paddy explaining that decision at the time. Yeah. Paddy, how come you came? We now know that it's incorrect, but tell us your thoughts. What did you see at the time? Blah, blah, blah. That's what I thought. Now, it's not going to change anything, but a wee bit of accountability. And also in care and say, if you make an absolute redneck it and you make an arse off it and you make such a costly decision, because this one in the fullness of the game doesn't make any matter, doesn't change anything. But let's just say it's one each at a time. We don't get that and it finishes one each. It's a game-changing decision, right? Accountability, where it's that decision was wrong, so the referee is not going to be involved in any association matches the following week, and he's came in and he's done an extra 2 days of training. Accountability, that's all we're looking for. A wee bit extra layer to sort of say we're taking it seriously about doing this. But it's by the by, back to the action. We're disappointed. It doesn't deter us. There's very much little after that for the terms of chances in the first half. I think other than that, we get Kyogo gets a shot that's saved near the end of about 45 minutes. It's really about the first time that Kyogo is actually involved in the game. And again, coming back to, we're talking about rotation of the strikers, we saw the damage that Idah done physically to the Atalanta defenders, and then we saw the sharpness of Kyogo coming on, even though it didn't change anything. how was your thoughts about it? Because I do think that we need to address it. It's not a criticism. It's not a pile on here. But our strikers, just for me, they're not on that level that they were last season. We need a wee bit more out of them. We're fortunate that we're scoring from all over the pitch and we're scoring several goals from all over the pitch. Guys like Kuhn, guys like McGregor. But I want a wee bit more from my strikers. And I've been a wee bit underwhelmed by their output lately. Obviously, look, I know I'm going to Steve-O. Idah comes on and scores. I know that. But I'm just talking about in general, when they're on the pitch, when they're on for the largest part of the game, I've just been a wee bit underwhelmed. We've not been connecting with them.
Do you know what? Touches-wise, Kyogo didn't have a lot to do. But I spoke about it as well. And the runs that he makes off the ball free up the space for McCown. They free up the space for Nicholas Kuhn and guys like that. It's all of this off-the-ball work. If you watch the guy, he runs tirelessly. He's always trying to get on the shoulder of a defender and make that run in for the ball over the top. He always seems to be on the go. He's always darting for the back post if we're going down to the byline. However, we didn't go to the byline much in the first half. Like you say, we weren't busting for the byline and putting the cross into the back post or the front post or whatever we normally do. We seem to be cutting back inside and making the pass towards either Luke McCown or Rio Hatate and then kind of playing about with it. I'm trying to go through the middle rather than putting the cross into the box. And that for me was why Kyogo wasn't really getting involved. He was trying to, but he was making the runs and he was drawing the players and the defenders out of the way. And to be fair, if you watch the movement up until the goal that Luke McCown scores, Kyogo actually drags the defender out of the way for McCown to take the shot. So essentially he's assisted him in getting that goal. Yeah, people could say he didn't do this, he didn't do that. And you want your strikers to score goals, of course you do, it's the bread and butter. But he's moving off the ball, he's contributing in his own way.
Yeah. Do you think that's maybe being a wee bit unfair there by myself, sort of saying, like, I'm just looking at some of the games that we've been, looking for our strikers to do a wee bit more in. And I look at games like, Ross County, I look at games the likes of this, Motherwell, where it's teams that aren't particularly posing a massive threat. They're robust, they're solid, but for me, those are the kind of games with the pace, the power, and the precision that we've got, that it should be a feast for our strikers. We should be getting them on the ball as often. I understand what you're saying. Pulling those guys away, creating that space, occupying the defender can be as good as we've seen, worth a goal, but it's all about a confidence game for strikers, and at the end of the day, it's pretty rare, is it not, that even at this juncture of the SPFL, that when we look at the top goal scoring charts, that our strikers are up there. They're normally up there.
Yeah, they normally are. That's it. You're 100% right. And obviously I'd like to see them up there. However, if they're not getting the quality of ball put in towards them, which he wasn't in the first half, then he's not going to score goals, is he?
Well, that's it. So, anyway, Paddy, back to the action. No change. Half time, we kick on. But the goal does come. And we come because we get a wee bit of width. We get it out there and we work going in. And it's the captain for the day. It went unmentioned. But Alistair Johnson with the armband on. I was quite surprised with that, to be honest. I thought it would have been maybe a Scales or even a Casper Schmeichel. Well, there you go. It was Johnson, Alistair Johnson. But one thing that he's been doing, we know with the overlaps, we know with the hunger, it's a really, really good ball in. And what I liked about this was he gets the ball, he's involved in the initial pass before it gets fired out wide to Vai, but then he follows in, he darts into the box, it's a brilliant cross, pinpoint on his head, boom, back post, header, 2-0, well deserved, well worked goal. At that point, home and dry surely, eh?
Yeah, it looked like it, like you said there, Alex Vai, I thought the young lad played incredible, quite quiet, didn't really have much to do. But when he gets that ball, he just has a quick glance up and just pings it straight in. Very good, very, very good cross. And yeah, what a header for AJ. He's running at it with a bit of speed and he's just rattled it. Captain for the day and a nice wee goal. How many times have we seen that? Kieran Tierney done it as well. And Callum done it when he came on and made his debut as captain. Carter Vickers has scored as captain. Stick a captain's armband on anybody to score a goal for you. That's what it seems to do.
Well, see, just to reflect, Matty, on that, just whilst we look back, obviously it's come up there. Alan says about Vi's looking good at the moment and good balls. We touched on a previous show. Another one that it's confusing me that a lot of people are digging in on Vi, and I don't see it. I see a very good young player there that's developing. I don't know if it's just when you pluck out the name Barcelona that they instantly think that, you've got Sergio Busquets, that's what you're going to be getting in terms of ability. Let's not forget, he is a young guy and his stock is good, but he's learning his trade and he's coming at a club with massive expectation.
Yes.
He's been involved at Barcelona, but only on a sort of peripheral level, friendlies and the likes. But he's been out on loan, but he's never been at a club with the expectation levels of Celtic, so you've got to give allowances for that. In terms of me, I think he was very impressive, and I think by game to game to game, I'm seeing a wee bit more out of him each game, but I'm thinking, do you know what, this guy is developing. Yeah, do you know what, defensively, does he have, and I know people say, look, Steve, Taylor can be murdered, I get it. Is he maybe as defensively sound as Taylor is?
Yeah.
Maybe he's on a par. He's maybe on a par, of course. That's the point, is anybody that's brought in, you always want an improvement. So because people maybe aren't seeing a better defender for that side of things, for Taylor, they don't like it. But certainly for an attack-minded sense, he is better than Taylor, and he is an improvement in that department. And I think he's came on. I was really, really impressed with what I saw out of him there as well. And once again, just to touch on the defenders, Scales, Trusty, another solid performance.
Yeah, no, listen, he was. And you said it there as well. I think he is as good as Greg Taylor in defence, but I also think he's better than Greg Taylor at delivering a cross. And we've seen that there. His cross was brilliant. McLaughlin said there he's going to stick him on Wednesday to score. Do you know what? That's a great shout, mate, because he's not scared to have a shot as well. We've seen that from him a few times as well, and he's got a decent enough strike on him. So, listen, the young lad, like you said, he's coming from Barcelona.
And that's that part.
Or not, but yeah, it's a big club to come to. Celtic have got a massive expectation on him. We expect to win every single week. And this young lad's come in and he seems to have taken it in his stride and he's doing well.
No, I'm being more than happy. As you say, we've got a game against Indeed midweek, different situation, another game that's going to similar. It's going to be very similar to what we faced against Motherwell. So, I expect more of the same there as well. But as the game cracks on, there isn't too much to write home about. I didn't think the game just it went into cruise control. It was it sort of tightened up for me a wee bit. There was still the slack passes, and we'll get on to it, even with the substitutions coming on. I still thought there was periods where Hatate and Bernardo, I'm singling the two of them out in particular because compared to what they would normally expect out of them, I did think that both of them were quite loose in possession. For me, out those three centre ones, the only one that really done it for me was McCown. I thought he was continually working hard. He was industrious. He was looking for it. And he had the least mistakes out the midfielders, put it that way. No disrespect, as we say, all that matters is the result. But we're here to talk about the performance. So we'll talk about the good, the bad, the indifferent, everything else in between. It's not a criticism. It's an observation. But we eventually get through and we get the subs on. Guess what time, Paddy? That's right, it's the usual. It's about the 60-odd minute mark, and we take off Forrest, we take off Vi, we bring on Kuhn, and we return CCV. That one really surprised me, because we then keep on Scales, we keep on Trusty, and we have CCV. So we just move one down. We put Scales out to the sort of left-back position, and I saw a lot of people saying when we've done that, maybe we'll start seeing a mixture of a back three. But I still don't really see how that's going to work, because that would surely mean you're going to have Scales, Trusty, CCV. But where does that leave Johnson? I don't see how that would work. But we essentially just kept the same four at the back, but we moved Scales down one. So for there on, what did you think? We getting CCV firstly back in?
Getting Carter Vickers back in and getting some game time in him was absolutely pivotal for a season going forward. The partnership between him and Trusty seemed to go really well. Obviously, that's now Trusty in the role that he prefers to be. Is
that because they can talk American to each other, mate?
That's it. Like you said, they can both talk about each other in American, so there's no communication issues in there. But yeah, that's him playing his standard position of a left-sided centre-back, and that's where he enjoys. Obviously, we know Wade Scales can obviously play left-back as well, as he's done it at Aberdeen. So, for me, somebody said there, points in the back three for the Champions League, and I was just going to touch on that. Going in the Champions League, going into the games where we're up against teams that are going to come at us, say against, like we say, your Dortmund or Atlanta, somebody who's a decent enough side, have the three centre-backs in there, but have your wing-backs. That would be either Valle or Taylor and Alistair Johnson on the other side, and have them as essentially inverted wing-backs, and then your middle of the park and your strikers. So essentially in a kind of 5-3-2 formation.
But then the thing is, though, you've then got to think about that, though, because if you move them forward, that's you're sacrificing surely one off Maeda or Kuhn, because you've then got to have your standard guys. So this is what I'm saying, but I don't quite see how this is going to work unless because let's face it, if you have to have an option where it's either Kuhn or Johnson pushed up further, it's no brainer. Johnson's in the bin. Similarly as well, if you're going to have Vai or Maeda in the bin. So I think as a game moves on, you might just change where if you are in top, you could go to the three at the back, and you could just sack the two. You could sack, Vai, and you could sack Johnson, and just keep the status quo with the midfielders, and just looking for Maeda, looking for Kuhn to come back and do that extra bit of work as well defensively. So that's the only way for me that it works. But interesting, it gives you an option there. In terms of coming on, I thought that Carter Vickers was good to see him. I was obviously a wee bit nervous because regardless, we're winning, we're cruising, but it's still a physical game. We saw what was in the post, we'll go on to with Idah. That was my concern. But I was watching to see if he was looking, how he was moving. He looked quite mobile. I didn't see any issues whatsoever. It was like slipping on an old pair of jeans. And of course, he was maybe a wee bit overzealous because there was that one where the ball came across and it was straight into Casper Schmeichel, but he slides in his backside, moves out the pitch.
Yeah, that's it. It's nice to see him back, though. We've been screaming for him. We've been screaming for that centre-back pairing for a while. Me and you saying that we really wanted to see the two of them in there together and see what we're going to get. I'm more than happy to see him back. And like you said, slapping on an old pair of jeans, that's exactly what it looked like. It was comfortable enough in there for me. So going forward, expect him to start midweek and get some more minutes into the legs. Whether it lasts a full 90 minutes.
No, not too bad. It says, in terms of the action, back to that, there isn't too much that happens on. McCown, again, he's still the one that's really getting involved. There's that point where he gets his shot saved. Pinball Wizard, we kind of get the second snapshot saved by the goalkeeper. Not too much. That's his sort of last involvement because he comes off. I think it's about 75, just before 80 minutes. He comes off, Engels comes on, and we get Kyogo coming off for Adam Idah as well. So rotating the squad quite well. Engels comes on, plugs that gap. We were questioning, as we says at the start, was he going to be getting played because of the sort of question marks and things. We had the Evening Brown. We had the question marks over the comments by the manager about Engels, remember his age, give him time, I'm surprised at this and that. And he comes on, and again, no disrespect to him, similar to, as I said about Bernardo, similar to I said about Hatate, I'm going to say the same about Engels. Yeah, he comes on, he's got 15 minutes, but very slack in the passing. There was a lot of ropey passes by Engels. I didn't think that, for me, out of any midfielder, centre midfielder that played, the only one I would go and say had a good game was Luke McCown. I just thought everybody else was scrappy. That's the only way I can describe it. Not bad, scrappy.
That's it. Motherwell were decent enough in the press as well. Don't get me wrong, they done all right. They defended decent enough. And I think that there's a lot of interceptions that they had. So you can't put it down to just the players being not up to the scratch. I think they were less than what we've come to expect. They weren't up to the standard.
Paddy, the bar's been set so high. Between pre-season and those early games, we have been absolutely flying. So the bar has been set extremely high, and this is one thing where sometimes we've seen fans criticising other fans and saying there's a certain generation that have only seen trebles and they expect too much.
Yeah.
Similarly with us, just because we've been playing so well, it doesn't mean it's going to happen every single game.
Yeah.
The important thing is, can you get away with it? Did you get away with it? And by and large, we do, other than obviously we had the drop points to Aberdeen, which was disappointing, but it's about grounding out the results nonetheless.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, they come on, they've done the job, they got it done, and as far as I can see, they're all there. Yeah, keep ticking off the wins. That's it. Exactly, mate. I totally agree with you. As long as we keep putting 3 points on the board, it doesn't matter if our players are firing on all cylinders. They're doing enough to get by. They didn't like the header for me completely in the middle of the park. Look, McCown had a decent game, but yeah, it was nice to see Engels, Kuhn, Idah, and the others get on and get a few minutes into the legs as well.
Well, in terms of the action, there isn't too much that happens. We spoke about saying looking for a wee bit more from the strikers, and Idah comes on about the 75 minutes mark and he gets his goal, and it's a great goal. Talk about, again, rotation, subs making it an impact. Nicholas Kuhn picking up where he left off, adds another assist to his tally. Nice ball in down the right, in behind. He's quick onto it. Nice squared ball, and Adam Idah. Great finisher, I think, instinctive. He creates the angle, runs across the defender and sweeps it in with the right-hand side.
That's it. Exactly what
it's a very nice goal. It's a tidy goal. It's an instinctive striker's goal. And again, talk about rotation. Talk about putting the pressure on your cohorts. Idah's been an impact sub. His goals when he's come on, he's been making it happen. Now, we saw him start in Bergamo. And as I say, it was a different day for him at the office. It was a work rate day where he was wearing down the opposition so that when the rear guy came on, they were ran off their feet.
Yes.
When does the question start to come in, Paddy, that he starts getting a start? Similar to Giakoumakis, when Giakoumakis was the impact guy, but when he started getting a run of games, he became the guy, and he made a major question over, I should be starting, but let's face it, Kyogo was Angie's golden boy, so it was difficult. If Idah was to be given a run of games, Paddy, and start to score more often, could the golden boy be ousted?
I've seen stranger things happen. You've touched on it there as well. Idah is doing the job. He's coming in, he's scoring the goals. However, the goal was assisted by what exactly I was saying that Kyogo didn't get in the first half. And that was somebody bombing it to the byline and putting the ball across at pace. And I think if Kyogo's still in the park when that ball goes in, he's there waiting on it as well. So, yeah, I can see where you're coming from. The game against Atalanta, like you touched on, I thought was absolutely incredible. Idah done the hard work, he tired out the defenders basically, he kind of gave them the physical challenge, and then Kyogo come on as an impact, and by that time the defenders were gubbed, they were shattered after being up against the big and getting the pressure and stuff. So yeah, I can see it happening. I would go as much to say come Wednesday, Idah has to start.
Well, again, it's about rotation. It's about playing the course, so to speak. And listen, Dundee, similar vein of form to Motherwell. Neither are setting the header light. Neither of them are, battering down the door. But certainly, if you think Motherwell are an organised and physical team, well, guess what? Dundee are more physical, maybe less organised, but more physical. They're well set up, and for me, I would definitely, I'd roll the dice. I'd be happy to play Idah for the start and just see what happens. It's about rotating the squad and doing it well. However, Paddy, and this is the big however, this is the big caveat to this, because he scores his goal, but then in the 92nd minute, he nearly gets done.
Yeah.
So who knows? We'll find out in the next day or so what the outcome of that was. And I want to bring this up. So it's 92 minutes and the boy Gordon is a tackle from behind, and it's originally given as a yellow card.
Yes.
I, for one, am shocked. And then it goes to VAR. We talk about VAR. We slated VAR earlier on. But VAR does its job here, and it quickly gets overturned to a red. And it's for this, Paddy. Now, I don't know if you saw it. I want to get your comments in here. Let me know your thoughts on this tackle. Let me know your thoughts on Kettlewell's response in the post-match to this. Now, Kettlewell, I know you're going to defend your own player, but for me at this stage, Gordon has no intention of winning the ball.
No.
He is frustrated. His team are getting gubbed 3-0, and he just thinks to himself, watch this. I'm going to do you. Because you can see where the ball is, and that's not exaggerated. Idah runs through, he touches the ball, he knocks it back, and whilst he knocks the ball forward, your man's sliding in here. Now you see it there, and it's right on the ankle. It kind of at first, it kind of comes across him because it originally starts square on the heel, on the Achilles, but as he slides through, it twists and it comes side on and completely bursts Big Idah, and he gets down there. Now Kettlewell turns around and says, as I've done there, when you freeze frame it, it looks terrible.
Yeah.
I don't think you don't need to freeze frame that one, Paddy, do you?
No, not at all. I watched it in slow motion and stuff as well. Watched it in full speed. When the ref's over looking at it, what does he watch it 5 or 6 times?
Mm-hmm.
Every single time it's a straight red. Like you said, he's got no intention of getting the ball. Whether he's about a week late with the tackle, isn't he? He seems to be nowhere near him. He comes in, he does got the ball under control and then touches it out with the right foot in order to take it away from him. He's on his way, he's going, and then just totally wipes him out. Straight red for me. But I thought Big Idah done well to kind of not go down like a pansy and stuff like that. I thought he kind of shook it off.
He did. He, you know, for the old term of manning up, he did. He didn't make him really a lesser man would have went down, done a million rolls, held his ankle, been thrown a tantrum. He didn't, and I don't know if again, look, some of the commenters are saying here, well, we all know why he didn't get it because he didn't want to get it because he's one of them and stuff. Right? Look, whether that's the case, whether you believe it or not, I can't tell you what to think. I just think it's complete ineptitude by the referees there. I'm not buying that in real time. You don't see it. For me, look, the referee, you see his position, he's following the play, so he is behind, and to that end, you can see that that's a tackle from behind. There's no contact in the ball. It is a red card. That is just blind stupidity and moronicness, and you'll get this. We'll get the VAR review, and we'll get Willie Collins saying, this is a great intervention by VAR, because they showed the referee the fucking obvious, you know. What do you want here? But it's a shocker, mate. And I was worried at the time because initially when you see Idah getting up and they said it on commentary, there was the question mark, do we get him off? Because he looked uncomfortable. He toughened up, he manned up, he went through it, he rode the tackle quite literally and bounced back up. But for those early stages, you could see that he was uncomfortable. I've not seen anything, but I wouldn't be surprised if tomorrow morning we see a picture of him leaving Fir Park in a boot, or we see him, we see him in the moon boot, or we see him icing it up or something like that. And when you look at the fact that we're on a Sunday and we're playing a Wednesday, he's probably, if there's any level of information there, he's no training Monday, Tuesday. So again, that's a doubt and worry.
No, listen, the big man rode it well. I hope to God it's not as serious as what you're kind of saying there, Steve. It didn't look at it. He came off the park, he walked all the way around, he's still done a warm down with the team as well. You've seen them in the background when Boydie and Lennon were discussing a few of the incidents. You could see the Celtic team at the back running up and down the side of the pitch. So he was there as well. So listen, I think he's going to be alright. I think it was just a bad tackle. I don't know how the refs missed it because it was a stone water.
Well, I mean, that's it, and that's pretty much the last action, if you will. Obviously, we get a wee bit of extension of time because of the wasted time. Time ticks on, and the last chance falls to your man, your favourite Hatate, late on in the box. For me, look, late in the game, lethargic, whatever, he just passes it to the goalkeeper. He's got plenty of time, he's got plenty of space. If he puts his laces through it and names it goalward, it's a goal for me. Is that just maybe a guy that's having a wee bit of an identity crisis at the moment, a wee bit low in confidence, Paddy?
Yeah, it could be. Maybe just needing, like you say, a goal or a nice few passes and stuff like that. We'll wait and see. Come Wednesday, it could be different. If Magnus right there, I hope David Rogers was saying he was absolutely fine. Palmer had a nice wee chance as well towards the end, Steve, which I thought he just had to slide it into the bottom corner. But he done what he's good at doing, and it was just slide it into the side of the net.
Nah, do you know, and this is the thing, Paddy, to sum up the end of the game, but to bring this one home, the important thing is the points at the end of the day.
Yes.
We always want performances, of course we do. But, you know, like we said in the Champions League, points is what makes the prizes. That's you know, the old cliche. I hate saying things like that. I hate using these one-liners, but it's fact. The points are all that matter, no matter how it comes along. Yeah. Of course you want to have eye-catching performances. You want it to be top-level, high-tempo stuff. Yeah, that's the ideal world. But see, at this moment in time, on a game-by-game basis, particularly whilst we're going to have these periods where we're going to have midweek football, weekend football, midweek, you know, you've just got to get through them. And it's going to be the exact same again. As we go to play Dundee midweek, and then we've got the semi-final you and I will be at, watching the stands. So delayed on the post-match, but it'll happen. So my point is, back-to-back, game. This is this period. We get into this sort of winter period where these, you know, midweek and then weekend football is going to be the norm. You're going to have a heavy schedule. This is always the overload phase. And at the end of the day, it's just about winning. Now,
100%.
That's from our perspective. We're sitting pretty. We know what we've got. Over the other side of the city, just for mentioning them, just because, again, they get out of jail today again, VAR, and bring everything in, decisions going against that. They get a wee helping hand as far as I'm concerned. But they want to see an improvement because they're that dross.
Yes.
And just scraping victories for them isn't enough.
Yes.
But for us who are assured and we know what we've got, it's a different story. We can give allowances, we can focus on eyes on the prize because we know we've got the talent pool, we know we've got the players, we know we've got the manager to do it. So we accept grinding through at times. Is that fair, Paddy?
Yeah, listen, see, Celtic didn't cover ourselves in glory today. We didn't play our best. We won 3-0. And that's the difference. You look across at the other clubs in the league, Aberdeen are playing okay, scraped to win. It was at 88th minute. They scored in. Fair play, they got the win. We're not playing our best. That's what I'm getting at. We are not firing on all cylinders. But we just beat a well-drilled Motherwell side away from home, 3-0.
Yeah.
I'll take that every single day of the week.
Yep.
The team across the city are getting helping hands here, there and everywhere. Come Wednesday when they come up against a decent side in Aberdeen, I fully expect Aberdeen to take at least a point off of it.
Well, I hope so, and I hope that the things that we've discussed here don't come into play. I've seen a lot of social media posts saying, do you think that the establishment are really going to let Aberdeen go 9 points ahead? Well, you know, funnier things have happened, but that's another day for another comment. But as what it is, we can only care and take care of our own house, and our house is very much well in order, Paddy. So to sum up the game, let's have a look at this, because we've spoke about the action, we've spoke about it being a wee bit disjointed, hardly vintage, but 3 goals. These stats might surprise you.
Oofed.
I know. So there we go. Let's run through them for those who are listening in audio format. Possession. 22 Motherwell to Celtic 78. Shots 9-21 in our favour. Or 21-9 in our favour. On target 10-2 in our favour. Off target 5 apiece. Blocked shots 62 in our favour. Corners 10-3 in our favour. Touches in the opposition box. We are 31 and they're 16. Half them almost. Goalkeeper saves, Casper, twice he was worked. They were worked 6 times. Of course, fouls 11 in their favour to our 9. 1 yellow card, 1 red for them, and we picked up 2 yellow cards. When you look at it on paper, games aren't played on paper, but when you look at it, it was actually pretty comprehensive. Is it maybe just a case of things not coming off?
I think it's the loose passes. for me, 70% possession, I wouldn't have said that. For me, it seemed a lot more end-to-end. I don't know whether that's just because I was stressing watching it, but yeah, listen, you take it all day a week. I didn't see 10 shots on target, I don't think, but yeah, listen, a 3-0 win when you're not playing at your best is absolutely brilliant. So yeah, onward and upward, bring on the Dundee.
So Paddy, just before we bring it home, it was a mixed bag, it wasn't vintage.
Yes.
Who's your man of the match out of that? If there's one guy that you're picking out and you says, in a pile of mediocrity, regardless of the result, who rose above who came at the top?
White McCowan. He was the one that came in for me. He was a standout. Yeah, he was the one that was driving. He was the one that was making the passes, and obviously got the first goal as well. For me, he was the one that dragged the side into it. I thought obviously Alistair Johnson done well.
I was going to say the comments are coming in. Strangelove, Brown, they're all saying that was the one I was going to go with. I thought that it was very much a captain's.
I think he was a standout. Captain's performance. Yeah, we said that before, but for me, I would have said Luke McCowan. It was nice to see the young lad in there, and I think he held himself really well, getting his goal and stuff like that. Opening the scoring for us was the main thing for me. I think that. Just pushes him in front of AJ.
Yeah. So anyway, Paddy, before we go, rolling on into midweek football, big game. What's the tack there? Obviously, of course, it's the bread and butter's the league. We're sitting pretty. We'll see how Aberdeen get on against the Baddies. I'm sure we'll have one eye on that. A very interesting midweek game, though, isn't it? Because obviously we have our closest contenders in Aberdeen versus your supposed nearest rivals and Rangers playing at the same time. So that one's really completely make or break. It'd be different if Aberdeen were playing somebody completely different, Rangers were playing somebody. So the stakes are quite high. So again, in terms of midweek, you're looking at it and thinking, we need to win that one. But then your eyes are diverted ever so slightly. And how much will Brendan's eyes, if at all, be diverted to that semi-final that we'll be going to make? Because the first cup in the bag, as we well know, is always a massive shot in the arm for the confidence and sets down that early marker and can, sort of strike the fear into your opposition and the rest in the league if you come away with that. Aberdeen are rivaling us in the league, and they'll be looking at a one-off game against us at the weekend thinking, chance to get ourselves into a final here, boys.
Yeah, you can see that as well, but are they serious about competing in the league? If they are, then they've got to go all out against Rangers on Wednesday. They've got to go for it. For me, I think this game's coming at the wrong time for them. The Dundee game for us, I think we go out there and we batter them for the first 25, 30 minutes, get ourselves one or two ahead, and then you can look at changing things. You can look at maybe resting guys again, like Callum McGregor, Kyogo, Kuhn. You can start messing about and bringing on other guys because these guys are now getting extra game time.
So see on that, Paddy, to jump in, just to jump in.
Yeah.
Important, and I agree. Get them buried in the first half, shut up shop, bring off your big guys, rest them, look towards the game against Aberdeen. Aberdeen, the flip side, however, with a limited squad, and as I say, is right now they're up there, but in the fullness of the season, their big issue is going to be lack of depth, lack of quality to rotate through. They're going to have to play their best guys the entirety of the game against Rangers. Regardless, even if they went 1-0 up, 2-0 up, they're going to have to keep them on the pitch to try and secure that result. Fact, that's what's going to have to happen. With us, though, playing the D, thank you very much, 420s. Donated another one, so if you get that membership, you are a lucky person indeed. Thank you, my man. But my point is, do we risk? We kept off McGregor with the abductor issue. Carter Vickers was weaned back in. Do we do what we've done again tonight? Idah might have question marks on him. Do we go for the exact same thing again? Do we play that same team? Do we go to that level of rotation?
Yes and no. You want to go out and get the job done. I would personally put a more confident, a more compact squad, one that we'd expect out there first. I would expect us to go for it and then get ahead in the first half and then potentially change it up in the second half. I don't want anything to do with what happened with the Falkirk game. We made too many changes in that. We nearly got caught out with it. For me, you go out, you get the game sealed off, and then you rest. So I'd like to see a kind of pretty much full squad. Yeah, rest a few of them, like they say. Bring Taylor back if he's fit. Tony Ralston in for AJ possibly. Guys like Nicholas Kuhn and Dyson Idah. Kuhn's had a wee rest tonight. I would get him straight back in there. Maybe rest Dyson. And I think if he does fit, play him up front.
I agree with that, Paddy. I like that sentiment there. You know, Kyogo, not Kyogo, I'm talking about garbage here, I'm gibbering. Kuhn, got his rest.
Yeah.
But we've seen the impact. He has the impact tonight. Sets one up. Get him on for the start. Get him doing what he's doing. Bury them nice and early. Bring him in. I'd definitely go with that. I've no issues with retrying the formula. Bernardo, Bernardo, McCowan and Hatai. Haven't got a problem with that. I genuinely don't. Let's try it again. Give them a chance. The good thing is Taylor sitting on the bench tonight. We don't use him. Now, again, depending on where he's at, you want to rush him back, you not want to rush him back. But I think for me, a game, no pun intended, is Taylor made for him. Get him in against Dundee.
Yeah.
So again, I've no problems with that there. Carter Vickers, I think we do is we give him, like we done tonight, we give him 25 minutes or something, we get him bedded in. I don't want him involved in a physical battle at Dundee and risking it for the weekend. So rotation is key. Get those guys in, get the result done, put it to bed, shut up shop, because Aberdeen, whether they like it or not, whether we believe it or not, they're going to be in for a fight because that lot have got something to prove. Aberdeen have something massive to prove. It's going to be under the lights. It's going to be absolutely jam-packed at Pittodrie. That's going to be a battle. And I tell you what, see if it's a draw, let it be a draw, and I want both sides taking bodies. I want injuries galore. Geez it.
Yeah. A draw is probably a decent result for us, isn't it? As long as we go out there and win against Dundee, which I'm pretty confident that we will. That's it. Well, so, yeah, that's fingers crossed. Looking forward to it. No injuries, straight on to the weekend and get to the first final of the season. Exactly. Bring it on. Another 3 points on the board. Another 3 goals without reply. Top of the table, as French Eddie once said. We're all on, Paddy. On to midweek. We'll find out. We'll get the press conferences. We'll find out what the manager says. We update regarding that squad, regarding potential injuries, with guys coming back, and we'll see. And of course, we'll be there to cover that when that comes round. It is late, 10:15. Thank you very much to every single one of you for joining us tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure. And Paddy, thanks again for you post-shift getting yourself onto Celtic World Order to give your views on that game, mate. I really do appreciate it. So anyway, that'll be us for tonight. We'll be back, obviously. We'll preview that midweek game and then we'll talk about it after it. Hopefully, we're sitting here, celebrating another win, and we'll have one eye on results elsewhere. Hopefully, that helps us out a wee bit more. So, anyway, until next time, you all take care of yourself. And as we say, as always, Paddy, hail, hail. Hail, hail. See you later. Bye-bye.